Hi everybody, today I'm going to be talking about my summer reading plans, the books that I am reading this summer in June, July, and maybe the beginning of August. And I'll go ahead and start out with the books that I've already started. So the first one to mention is The Paper Menagerie by Ken Liu. This particular book is a collection of short stories that range from science fiction to magical realism or just overall speculative fiction. And I've been in a buddy read with Read by Kyle, Bookborn, and She Was Only Evie. The funny thing is they've all read this collection before, so I'm the one reading it for the first time alongside all these rereaders, and they've been great about not spoiling anything and letting me gush on and on about certain stories because I really am having the best time. I think some stories are certainly stronger than others. Some have been emotionally impacting me more than others, but I can honestly say that this is a fantastic collection of palate cleansers. I imagine I'm going to enjoy the second half as much as the first. And I highly recommend this if you want something that's light, that's entertaining, that's interesting. I really appreciate Ken Liu's approach to theme, and I'm sure I'll have more to say when I finish the collection. Next book to mention is The White Luck Warrior. This is book 2 in Aspect Emperor by R. Scott Baker. It's also book 5 in the larger Second Apocalypse series. So Aspect Emperor, that series, it takes place after the Prince of Nothing trilogy, several years after. And I actually don't have a physical copy of this book right now. I have the ebook and I have the audiobook, and I decided to listen to the audiobook alongside the ebook. Though I'm mostly visually reading it, I'll just put that out there. I decided though to go ahead and listen to the audiobook though at times so I can get the pronunciation of the names right, because there are a lot of terms, a lot of places, a lot of names that have interesting spellings, and I feel bad every time I'm in a discussion and mispronounce words. So I'm hoping that the audiobook will help me along with that. Sometimes I still mispronounce words even with an audiobook, but I'm going to try this time. I'm going to make a conscientious effort. But the reason I haven't hauled the physical copy yet is I really don't like the physical copy that's available for this book right now. I think that the one that I prefer is out of print. But the same thing happened with the original Prince of Nothing trilogy. When I was reading that trilogy, the editions I wanted weren't available, or if they were so much money, especially the second book, The Warrior Prophet. And then I recently saw on Amazon that they became available again, the editions that I wanted initially. So I did actually order the Prince of Nothing trilogy, even though I've already read that trilogy. I think they'll be fantastic to look back to though, as I'm reading Aspect Emperor. But I'm sorry, I'm just kind of rambling on about editions, and I just want to go ahead and say that Aspect Emperor has been so fascinating so far. I did gush on and on about the judging eye in my last wrap up, so I'll link that so you can watch it. And I also had a fantastic discussion about that book with Philip Chase. So it's wonderful buddy reading, a series with Philip Chase as always, and I'm really excited to continue that journey. I'm just taking my time right now, so I probably won't finish White Luck Warrior right away, but I couldn't stay away. I had to know what was going to happen next. Another book that I already started and that I will be finishing this summer, hopefully maybe in August because it's very long, is Peril's Gate by Janny Wirtz. This is book number 6 in the Wars of Light and Shadow series. It's also the third book in the Alliance of Light series. There's an arc called The Alliance of Light within the Wars of Light and Shadow, so this is the conclusion of that arc. And this is huge. I think this might be the biggest book in the series, honestly. So no guarantee I will finish it right away, but I am really curious and interested in what's being set up right away at the beginning. Oh, and I should go ahead and mention that the discussion for this book will take place on Philip Chase's channel. I'm buddy reading this, or going to read along with Philip Chase and A Critical Dragon. The three of us have been reading this series together, having wonderful discussions, and also taking turns as far as which book we're talking about on which channel. But this is a huge one, so it's probably going to be quite a discussion. Last book to mention that I've already started is Return to Eden by Philip Chase. This is the conclusion to the Eden trilogy. I'm going to be hosting a discussion on this book. I've been hosting discussions on each book in the trilogy. So the first discussion took place with Alan from the Library of Alexandria, who is narrating the audiobooks for this trilogy, Murphy Napier, Jimmy from the Fantasy Network, and Philip Chase. And the second discussion included Jimmy, Murphy, and me. And then this last discussion is going to involve a few different people. It's going to include Murphy and John from Talking Story and Tom Orange and Philip Chase, of course. So that will take place towards the end of the month, and I will finish the book obviously before I host that discussion, but keep an eye out for that discussion when it happens. If you've read the trilogy, of course, we're going to go into spoilers, but we might start off with non-spoilers at the beginning. Really looking forward to that, and I'm really excited to complete Philip's trilogy. Now, I know you've all been noticing I've been reading a lot of sci-fi this year. Well, that's not slowing down completely because I'm going to be picking up Hyperion in the month of June. I was in a TBR surprise video with Josh from Red Fairy Books and Matt on Books over on Matt's channel. So we are the co-owners of the Fireside Discord, link in the description. We decided to do a TBR swap. So each of us listed 10 books that we want to read, that's on our shelf. Most of us picked books that are on our shelves. And then another one of us chose a book from our list for us to read, and we found out who that was. So we had that live stream over on Matt's channel, like I said. So Matt is the person who chose for me, and he chose Hyperion. And not only that, while I was on vacation a couple of weeks ago, last video, by the way, I was in Texas, in case you didn't notice, he gifted me the Hyperion Cantos books 2 through 4 while it was gone. So he wants me to continue the Hyperion series. That was great encouragement. And I hope to do that, but I'm not going to do it right away. Sorry, Matt, but I will do it. I will eventually get to it. But I am looking forward to this. I know I am going to be the target audience for Hyperion. I'm pretty certain of that. So that will happen in June. I've already mentioned several chunky books on this TBR, including Peril's Gate. But I have another huge chunky book I need to pick up this summer, or at least start, if I can get to it. Honestly, I'm a little intimidated at this point given my other reading plans. But if things work out, I will be starting Lonesome Dove this summer. Maybe even finishing it if I can't put it down, if I can get through it quickly, though I'm a fairly slow reader, and that is a huge book. So it feels like a huge commitment. But it is in the plans, so I'll just go ahead and add it to the list. This is more of a might be read at this point, but I am hoping to get to this book. I have high hopes to love it. I know it's been very influential on many writers, including Stephen King, I believe. So Lonesome Dove, I hope to read you. A bit of a transition here. I thought I'd go ahead and share some of the books that I picked up while I was on vacation recently. I went to a used bookstore and I found 3 books I'll be sharing here. So the first of them being A Brightness Long Ago by Guy Gavriel Kay. Many of you know I've been on a big Guy Gavriel Kay kick lately. I enjoyed The Lions of Alrasan last year, followed by A Song for Arbonne. I did spoiler-free reviews of both books, followed by spoiler-filled discussions. And then earlier this year, I read Tigana, and same thing. I did a spoiler-free review of that book and did a spoiler-filled discussion. So all of those will be linked, but this book I have heard such great praise for as well. And I actually am not going to be reading this as my next K book. I'm planning to pick up Serentine Mosaic, but I have heard, like I said, great things. And look at this cool cover. I like the bird design on it. I really look forward to reading everything Kay has to offer. So that's the first one I wanted to share with you all. But I did pick up 2 other books by the same author. It's an author I've been meaning to get to for some time, and that author is Ishiguro. So I'll go ahead and start with this one, Never Let Me Go. Now, the funny thing about this is I found out that my husband owned this book. He bought it in 2018, read it and unhauled it. It didn't leave a big impression on him. And I actually picked this up, I want to say 1 to 2 years ago. I picked up the audiobook of this on Libby and started it, but just wasn't quite in the right mindset for it at the time, or decided I would pick it up with a physical copy later on. So I never ended up reading Never Let Me Go. I let go of Never Let Me Go back then, and I'm really sad that my husband let go of Never Let Me Go. But anyhow, I found this. I am eager to get to it. I actually might have been spoiled for this book accidentally, but I've heard that it doesn't matter, that it's still worthwhile. So I'm going to give this a shot at some point. And then another one that I picked up is The Remains of the Day. Now, I mentioned this author the last time I was on Chatting with Nuts, and since then, Jimmy has read this book, and I know that he loved it. So it made me all the more eager to get to it. I understand it's about a butler. I don't think this cover is very conventional, maybe not the best cover for the book, but it looks well enough, and it was used, it was cheap, so picked it up. Looking forward to reading both books by this author. And again, while I might not pick up A Brightness Long Ago in the immediate future, I am hopeful to read one of these Ishiguro books in the not too distant future. I'm also on a Libby hold list for Clara and the Sun for both the ebook and the audiobook of that book. So at some point I'll get to Ishiguro. Don't know exactly when, but eager to get to this author. So those are my summer reading plans for now. Please let me know in the comment section below if you've read any of the books I've mentioned, or if you're planning to read any of the books I've mentioned. Say hi if you want to let me know you're here, and have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.